What's going on, folks? Ted from Nerd Immersion here. Comfy Ted is back in his robe and taking a little downtime here, but we're gonna take you through an unboxing of the Critical Role Vox Machina set of miniatures. Now, if you're unfamiliar, our good friends over at WizKids did send these over to me for review purposes, and this is kind of the third in the series of what I'll call ongoing fantasy role-playing game miniatures. We obviously have the Icons of the Realm set that covers base Dungeons and Dragons. We have the Pathfinder Battle set, as the name would suggest, that cover Pathfinder. And then we also have Critical Role. So we've seen, and I've covered a variety of Critical Role related D&D miniatures, or I guess Critical Role miniatures. We don't call them D&D miniatures, we call them Critical Role. From the base set that first came out back in the day with the things like the Udak. And then more recently, I covered I think it was Bell's Hells party set. And now we have Vox Machina, which is timely because, not too long ago did we have the release of Legends of Vox Machina Season 2 over on Amazon. So nothing too crazy here. You're going to get the entirety of the base Vox Machina class party, rather, including Trinket. And it does appear, although from just a quick glance, the minis look decent, I'd say. Some look better than others. The sculpts, at least what you see on the back of the box, look very nice. And these appear to be, for the most part, I'd say, like their end game. If you're familiar with Vox Machina, the original Campaign 1 of Critical Role, these do appear to be late game miniatures. I don't know if it's 100% like their end game. There are some telltale signs, like I see a variety of vestiges of divergence on the different characters. Things like the Deathwalker's Ward, Play the Dawn Martyr, Fenthris, looks like Cabal's Ruin, Titanstone Knuckles, a handful of these different things. Also, the armor matches more of the characters from late game. But either way, we'll go ahead and pop this bad boy open. And I have the up-close cam set up here. So I'm going to basically just bring us in, and you'll see they're blank there, and I'll go ahead and pop them out. No, nothing unique. One thing that I have talked about in the past, and I'll just show it here again, a thing I really like about the Critical Role. I don't know if you can see it, but the kind of just details are like all maps on the background and inside the box. It's just a nice little feature, and I kind of think it's pretty cool. All right, so let's head back over here to our minis. And I guess we'll just start from left to right. First up here is Scanlan. Short hold here. We'll go ahead and zoom ourselves in and focus in on Scanlan and see what we can kind of get from this. All right. Scanlan, I'll be being completely honest, I think Scanlan is one of the worst minis in the set, personally. He just, I don't know. The colors are all, it's signature Scanlan colors, all the purple here. You can see he does here have like a flute or possibly a schwam of some kind. And I do see like a rapier on his hip, which I'm going to assume is Mythcarver, the vestige of divergence that he kind of came to possess in the course of that campaign. I guess also potentially spoilers. I don't really think of these as spoilers because Campaign 1 has been out for so long. However, if you are someone who only knows Vox Machina from the Amazon series, the animated series, then potentially there may be spoilers ahead. But again, we can see, and I think that it's a beret on his head. I don't know. I guess, based on the fact that he is a gnome, there's not a lot of material to work with as you're working with a small figure. But either way, here we have Percy, right? So Percival de Rollo III. Go ahead and kind of get ourselves down so we can angle up a little bit to get a little better look at the minis. Now, we do see a variety of different things here. We see Pepperbox or some form of pistol. We can see, I don't think we can actually make out any kind of on gauntlet on his arm. We do also have his plague doctor mask here in the back, as well as Bad News, the rifle on his back. And I believe this kind of off the shoulder sort of cloak that we see is supposed to be Cabal's ruin, which was the vestige that he eventually gained, the cloak. But it was supposed to, if I recall, have like lightning-based patterning on the inside. At least that's what I recall. Maybe that was only when it was being activated. But either way, cool little mini of Percy's got a little bit of a lean on him here, but that's easy enough to fix, as you can do with any kind of plastic mini. Next up, oh, and I guess his is a little harder to say. I should point out, like, we talk about the quality of the paint, right? You can very clearly make out Scanlan's, if we zoom it in real close, you can make out his facial expressions there. But his particular outfit, I feel like, while there is definition in the various aspects of the miniature, I just don't particularly like it. Percy's, we do get a little bit more, as we do have like his glasses that you can see there. And you're kind of losing a little bit because his hair is white on the white background there. But there is a decent amount of detail in all of the different aspects. Even the kind of filigree on the back of Bad News there. Next up here, we have Keyleth. And I like a lot of the detail here on Keyleth is very well defined. As you can see, sorry, there's like a hair on the platform here. But you can see, I can't remember the name of her vestige, the staff. But you can see her antlers there. She's kind of got the more orange late game look. You can see her fingers are even kind of blackened at the tips after she kind of completed the fire part of her Armente. And then we have sort of the voice of the Tempest cloak, right, with all the different leaves, which is a very iconic look that she gained towards the end of the journey there. So this is very well done. I really like that. It's probably, out of what we've seen so far, that is my favorite mini. Now there is more that I do probably end up liking better. And, you know, it's not like a bias thing because I happen to be, like, Keyleth's not my favorite character, so it's not like a bias towards her character there. I just think the mini is very well done. Here we have Vexalia here. Now, obviously, the arrow is kind of a little crooked. That's just the nature of the fact of the way the minis are. You can see she has Fenthris, the bow here, and it does appear to have her white dragon armor, I believe, is what we're seeing there. Her face, the facial expressions aren't bad. I think Keyleth's were a little better done. I'm surprised they didn't go with a wink, personally, as her facial expression there. And then we kind of have a little bit of the fur off the shoulder there, and then the signature owlbear feather in her hair. Again, a decent miniature. I don't know. I don't particularly love the design on that one. I think, I mean, maybe it's just the cloak on Keyleth's miniature that just kind of help it stand out significantly more. Now, Pike, on the other hand, when you look at the comparison of Pike to Scanlan, both small-sized characters, this is much better. But, I mean, I think I'm giving a little bias here due to the wings, right? We can see she's got the shield here, she's got her mace, and she's obviously wearing what I believe to be the Plate of the Dawn Martyr, the gold armor she gains towards the end of the campaign. And again, you might notice some differences and discrepancies, again, if you are just fans of the animated series. Again, these miniatures do appear to be late game, late game versions of the characters after they kind of underwent their kind of costume change. And they are wielding more vestiges than you are probably familiar with from the show. Pike is definitely a close second compared to Keyleth. Next up, we have Grog here, and Grog's obviously there's a lot more to actually zoom out because of just the size of the miniature compared to the others. So first of all, you're going to have a lot more to work with just because of Grog's size. And it's funny because Grog has some of the more minimalist attire as far as armor and things go, but I do feel like there's greater detail in this miniature. We can very clearly see the Titanstone knuckles on his hands. You can see the tattoos, his facial expression, his beard. There's the belt of Dwarven kind of clasped to his belt there. We have, again, some tattoos and things in the back. We have his kind of signature off the shoulder kind of skull pauldron there. And I believe this is supposed to be the Sword of Cass, perhaps. It's obviously not Craven Edge, and it's not the Blood Axe, so I think that's supposed to be the Sword of Cass, which is a very, pretty late game pickup for Grog as well. But I think Grog's miniature is solid. Also, the scaling, and I'll put all of them together at the end just to kind of show you how they all look scale-wise. Honestly, sorry, Keyleth, Trinket may be my favorite, if I'm being honest. I have a little bit of a bias due to having a Paladin character. My first 5th edition character was a Paladin who had a pet bear, who didn't look very much, who looked pretty similar, honestly, in a lot of ways to Trinket. So, again, we see Trinket, which I believe is supposed to be his bullet armor that he acquired pretty early on in the campaign 1 here. But very well done. It's a nice little miniature. I like how it's armored, but it's also very, like, meek, I guess I would say. Almost stance, which is kind of different. A lot of times if you're going to have, like, an armored... Sorry. Vax is giving me a hard time here. Armored bear miniature, they're usually more like an attack pose. This is a little bit different. And then lastly, we have Vaxildan here showing off the Deathwalker's ward. And it also does appear to be in like full ascendant mode on all of these armors where all of the different things are activated. We can very clearly see the wings kind of sticking out the back. And I believe that dagger that you see there is Whisper, the one kind of other vestige that he eventually acquires. You can see we've got a dagger here. Can't really make out exactly what it is. And then a third dagger on the hip for the traditional dagger. And again, just due to the nature of the character and the kind of the color scheme, there's obviously a lot of just black. So you can't do too much detail. But the sculpt is pretty decent, for what you're able to see. And now I'll just put everybody on here so you can kind of get an idea of what we're looking at, and we'll zoom it out. We'll just zoom it out now. Kind of show you what everybody looks like here together. But all in all, a solid set of miniatures. We'll go ahead and talk pricing and things here in just a sec, but I want to get this nice shot here to show off all of them. You can get a nice look at the scaling of the miniatures here, which I think they all look pretty solid. It's a nice little set for sure. So I'm going to go ahead, and as you kind of take a look at these, and I'll do a little spin of these, I'm going to go to Amazon and we're going to type in and see. I do feel like, I think Trinket wins just for the nostalgia for me, for my Paladin character, but I do think Keyleth is probably one of the best in this set by a long shot, just because of the colors just kind of make everything pop a little bit more. All right, Vox Machina WizKids. Let's see what we're dealing with. I see the Vox. Oh boy, this can't be right. It's showing up as $100 on Amazon. That can't be correct. That's got to be because somebody's kind of jacking up the price. All right, let's go ahead and go to the WizKids store. And we'll jump over here to WizKids and we'll take a look. And we can see new. We can go to miniatures, critical role. Let's see what we've got. Here's the Bell's Hell set. Set $80 down to $67. And then you can see the variety of the different waves here. Some are unpainted, guests of Critical Role. You have NPCs. Here's the Udak I mentioned. I do actually have another set of more monster minis for... I don't actually remember which ones they are, but I do have another box set in the other room. So I'll be able to pull those. And let me just go ahead and see if we can't pull this up. Vox Machina WizKids minis. Okay, shop.wizkids. This is what we want. Here it is. Okay, so $70 is the retail price for them. And again, here you can see the renders of all of the characters here. Again, even the render for Scanlan just kind of looks... Oh, you know what? I couldn't even notice he does have the sort of little Ioun ascended thing on his forehead there. But yeah, even the miniature just seems to be lesser compared to some of the others. Either way, so it looks like it's going to retail here for $70. It is listed as in stock on the WizKids website, so it does appear that you can go out and actually purchase this yourself. Now, again, in a similar nature to what we saw with the Bell's Hells miniatures, what do you think about this? $70 for all of these miniatures? This, I think, is a little more, potentially more reasonable in my mind than you would have gotten if you had done something like the Bell's Hells miniatures, because you're getting Trinket, which is a sizable mini, which can be, it's also a very versatile mini. Now, you are getting painted miniatures, so there's a portion to that. And you are, I think, to a degree, you are paying a little bit for the Critical Role name. But these obviously cover a variety of different fantasy characters if you just needed generic miniatures. But is $80 too much? I don't know. You tell me. I mean, the need for like a gunslinger type character is not super common necessarily in a lot of different fantasy settings, though perhaps. And another thing I should just bring up, because I did learn this when I met with WizKids in person at PAX Unplugged. These are, each miniature you see from any WizKids thing that's painted is actually hand painted. I somehow thought this might have been color injected plastic or something along those lines. No, each miniature is hand painted. That's why you might see some variation if you were to buy my set that I have versus if you were to buy a set, you might see a slight differentiation in some of the coloring or possibly in the way different things are done. Perhaps somebody did make Vex winking, perhaps. But yeah, I thought that was interesting that each one is actually hand painted. That's why there can be some differentiation between different sets you might have. So let me know your thoughts and opinions in the comments down below. Are you excited for this Vox Machina set? Is the price right for you? Again, potentially you might be able to find things on some discounts, potentially on something like Amazon, but right now it appears that most of the base versions of those have sold out, so you're only going to be dealing with people scalping those prices up. Anyway, let me know your thoughts and opinions in the comments down below, and I will see you all next time.